Good morning. I know I am going live way early this morning, but I got an interesting phone call with us already this morning. My refrigerator, which was in town last Wednesday, a week ago tomorrow, and was supposed to have been delivered last Thursday, is actually being delivered this morning. They said would be here anytime after 9 a.m. So I'm figuring it'll probably be here around 10:30, but I'm giving myself, I wanted to get some stuff out there early this morning because after that, I've got stuff I've got to do this afternoon. I've got errands I absolutely have to run. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. So anyway, let's see here. Well, I guess I'm going to start with let me start with this video that Ramen sent me. This is just too cute of a video. What was that? Okay, anyway. Da, 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 da. Here we go. This guy showed a little bit more patience than I would have showed. But I'm not going, I'm not going to fault him for it.
I got some psycho bitch who just got in my truck and was driving it.
Free Palestine!
Now, I seriously doubt, if that's just a nicotine thing that she's sitting there vaping. I would not be surprised if that weren't some of the devil's lettuce.
Hey!
In downtown Detroit and East
It's for my
Lafayette.
future kids. Free Palestine. Free Palestine. Free Palestine.
Just trying to do my job, homeless drug addict.
Free Palestine! I said! Free Palestine!
Get the fuck out of my truck.
Now, right about there, I'm afraid he had a hold of him with the right arm. I'm afraid my left hand would have been planted squarely in that face. Seeing how many teeth I could loosen up. So, yeah. Maybe break her nose. But yeah, he showed a lot more restraint than I would have.
Get the fuck out of my truck.
She did go down like a rag doll. Okay. Now let's go back to what the Democrats like to call the latest day of infamy. The Great Insurrection. All Trump's fault. It's all Trump's fault. That evil orange man. The convicted felon that they still want to try for insurrection and causing the great, the insurrection with the liberal press and the Democrats called the Great Insurrection of January 6th. Well, Pelosi had a slightly different, and this video should have been out there years ago. This video should have been released. I don't know how in the hell it just now got out. But this video should have been out there years ago. Make sure that volume's up all the way.
We have responsibility, Terry. We did not have any accountability for what was going on there, and we should have. This is ridiculous. You're going to ask me in the middle of the thing when they've already breached the inaugural stuff that should we call the Capitol Police? I mean, the National Guard? Why weren't the National Guard there to begin with?
They thought that they had sufficient
No,
resources.
that is not a question of how they had, but they don't know. They clearly didn't know, and I take responsibility for not having them just prepare for more. We have responsibility, Terry.
We have, and this here's the part that gets me. Okay, I played that through. Okay, once. Let me come back here. All right, now if we all remember the timeline, they'd been asking days before for the National Guard to be there. Then the day of, it took them over 2 hours to get. Hey, Tyre. Yeah, I got an interesting phone call this morning. I'm going to get interrupted anytime after 9 o'clock. So I wanted to get some of this stuff covered here this morning. Because when I get interrupted, I don't know if I'll be able to come back to the stream or not. I mean, start a new stream. Pelosi and crew refused. Bowser refused additional security. Pelosi's office refused additional security. Then once it became apparent that they needed the additional security, it took over 2 hours just to get permission. Trump offered the additional security days in advance. And they refused it. They refused it. Right. But Pelosi here. All right, I'll play this again, Tyre, so you can hear it.
We have responsibility, Terry. We did not have any accountability for what was going on there, and we should have. This is ridiculous.
That's right. You're damn straight you've got responsibility because you and Bowser refused additional security when it was offered before anything happened on January 6th.
You're going to ask me in the middle of the thing when they've already breached the inaugural stuff that should we call the Capitol Police? I mean, the National Guard? Why weren't the National Guard there to begin with?
Because your office and Bowser's office refused it. It was offered, and you refused it. That's why. Everybody in the chain of command refused the additional help from the National Guard.
They thought that they had sufficient
No,
resources.
that is not.
That they thought they had sufficient. What a lame ass excuse. What a lame ass excuse. They thought they had sufficient.
National Guard? Why weren't the National Guard there to begin with?
They thought that they had sufficient
No,
resources.
that is not a question of how they had, but they don't know. They clearly didn't know, and I take responsibility for not having them just.
Damn straight, you and Bowser should be taking responsibility for not having them there because it was your office and Bowser's office that refused to have the guard there. Okay, it's that simple. Y'all's offices, you and your office, Bowser and her office refused to have the guard there. And I still say because y'all wanted worse than what actually happened. You had hoped and prayed, your staff had hoped and prayed that the Trump supporters would act like your supporters and destroy the congressional building. That's what you'd hoped. So yeah, the inauguration doesn't take place until the 20th. This is January 6th. You guys had hoped that the people protesting would act like your supporters do. And y'all had the undercover people out there egging them on. Y'all had people out there egging them on, trying to get them to do worse, begging them to do worse, trying to rile them up. And they didn't. It didn't work for the most part. It didn't work. So don't, you're damn straight. You and your office, that January 6th, this video should have been front and center of the January 6th committee. This video should have been front and center. It should have been released as part of the January 6th committee. And for some reason, it's just now coming out.
Prepare for more.
Let me go ahead and post a link to this video. But yeah, Pelosi, you should have known better. You really should have known better. You and your office should have done the right thing days earlier. You scampy. I really want to say a lot of things about this, about her. I really and truly do. Wow. This Hunter Biden trial. Remember, it took 9.5 hours for the Trump jury to convict him on all 34 charges. The Hunter Biden jury's been out now for 2.5 days. And they're still deliberating. I guess when the judge instructs you that it doesn't take a unanimous decision to convict a former president, but does take a unanimous decision to convict a president's son, I guess that does take it a little bit longer to get to the jury's decision. No. only takes 4 people agreeing out of 12 to convict a former president. But it takes 12 out of 12 to convict the president's son. A cocaine drugged out, a man that the evidence against him is 100%. The jury should have been out for 3 hours if they wanted a meal. So yeah, this is ridiculous. You know, they've got all the proof in the world that Hunter Biden lied on that form. And the jury is still sitting out. So, all right, what's this next video? Okay, here we go. Got, I haven't had a chance to listen to all these yet. This woman, Lauren Windsor, she attended somehow or another, she attended an invite-only dinner party. And Alito and Roberts were there. And she pulled a James O'Keefe and went up with a tape recorder, a hidden tape recorder, and got some conversations going with them. And oh my God, the left is tearing them up. So she posted them on X. So let's take a listen here to it, and we'll see how this goes. Okay. Back this up.
I wanted to say hello to you again. My name's Lauren. I met you last year. I think you already met. So anyway, I wanted to tell you.
Yeah, the volume's not that great. Fortunately, they do have it captioned.
My husband wanted to be here, but he had lost some business thing. And just like make sure that you tell Justice Alito that like he is a fighter and we appreciate him and he has all the grit. And I know it's got to be terrible what you and your family are going through right now. So I'm just so sorry.
Oh, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Boy, she is really playing this up. You know, hey, yeah, if you're doing an undercover sting, you're going to play it up as best you can. You want to, get the target of your sting to be as comfortable as possible. So, okay. Hey, tall person, welcome. So, she softened him up pretty good there.
But and I'm sure you don't remember this at all. But what I'd asked you about was about the polarization in this country. About like how do we repair that rift? And considering everything that's been going on in the past year, you know, as a Catholic and as someone who like really cherishes my faith, I don't know that we can negotiate with the left in the way that like needs to happen for the polarization to end. I think that it's a matter of like winning.
I think you're probably right. And one side or the other is going to win. I don't know. I mean, there can be a way of working, a way of living together peacefully, but it's difficult, because there are differences on fundamental things that really can't be compromised. They really can't be compromised. So it's not like we're going to split the difference.
And that's what I'm saying. I think that the solution really is like winning the moral argument. Like people in this country who believe in God have got to keep fighting for that to return our country to a place of godliness.
Oh, I agree with you.
Because we look at like the decline of our society, the decline of the nuclear family, and liberals, I just feel like want to see that happen and proliferate. And I think we've been too permissive to say, oh, okay, I understand the Constitution. I understand like.
Okay, all right, there's nothing wrong with what he was saying there. Roberts or Alito is a religious man, and if he believes and that the country has strayed too far away from religion and such, that's fine. As long as his rulings don't go towards a theocracy. I'm not getting that word out right today. Sorry, guys. But you know what I'm talking about. A theocratic government. We are, it's right there in the, God, right there, bestowed upon, certain inalienable rights. So God is acknowledged, but we have a secular government because it's right there in the First Amendment. The freedom of religion to practice or not practice as you see fit, as long as it doesn't harm someone else. So he's perfect. And I agree with him. I think our country does need to get back to more of a the people need to get back, not the government, the people. Just look at what we're doing to our children today. Look what we're allowing to happen to our children today. That's absolutely disgusting. But I would never vote or want a religious government. Because even if it was my religion, I wouldn't want my religion forced down somebody else's throat. And I don't want someone else's religion forced down mine. So while I may not agree with the other person's religion, they're free to practice it as long as it doesn't infringe on me. Does not infringe on my rights to practice my religion or not to practice any religion. So I got no problems with what Alito just said.
Nice meeting you. You take care of it.
I do want to ask something. I want to be totally appropriate with, the jurisprudence of it all, but, just to be totally candid, like, how do we get America back to a place of, like, really, like, less polarization? Because I feel like the court is undergoing this period of turmoil. Like, people don't trust in, I think, just this is like the last bastion of, I think, like, public trust. And, like, how do we get back to that?
I wish I knew. I don't know. it's easy to blame the media, but I do blame them because they do nothing but criticize us.
Which is true. I mean, you hear the media calling all the time about, attacking Alito, attacking Roberts, attacking Clarence Thomas. Why? Because they're constitutionalists. The Constitution says what it says. Unlike the liberals. Let's take the Roe v. Wade decision. That decision never should have been made from the get-go. It should have always been left up to the individual states. And quite a few Supreme Court justices admitted that afterwards. That abortion should be, like many other things, a state-by-state thing. We're not a centralized government. And I will preach this till the day I die. We are a union of 50 individual states with individual rights, with individual laws. The federal government is not the end-all be-all, because what works in Maine and Massachusetts isn't going to work in Arizona and New Mexico. Morning, Raman. Yeah, I'm likely to get interrupted anytime after 9 o'clock, so I wanted to get a start on this stream early today. I'm finally getting my refrigerator delivered. They called me this morning and said it'll be coming sometime after 9. And when they do show up, I'm going to have to end the stream. So, but anyway. The media has done nothing but condemned half of the Supreme Court for the past 10 years, 10, 15 years. And it's always the conservative half they condemn. Well, liberal media, of course they're going to condemn the half that they don't agree with. But they want to see a certain type of government. They want to see certain things. And to hell with the Constitution. The media doesn't care about the Constitution. We all know that. Yeah, Duck Dog Guy said Maine. The media doesn't care about the Constitution. The only part of the Constitution they care about is freedom of the press. And they only care about it when it's their press, not a press that they disagree with. A press that goes against the mainstream press. So anyway, back to this.
And so they have really eroded trust in the court. I don't know. I really don't know. I mean, ordinary people, ordinary isn't the right word. American citizens in general need to work on this to try to heal this polarization, because it's very dangerous. I do believe it's very dangerous.
I think it's
There's absolutely nothing wrong with that statement whatsoever. This polarization in our government, this polarization in our country, caused by the media, is very dangerous to our country. It's split our country in half. It's splitting it along gender lines. It's splitting it along racial lines. It's splitting it along wealth lines. The media loves splitting up this government, this country, and the left and the Democrats They love it too, because that's how they keep their power, by pitting people against each other rather than unifying us. So I see nothing wrong with what Alito just said.
Taking us to the brink of, very serious and perhaps like non-repairable rifts in the country. And I, for one, am someone like I support your ruling on dogs. I support I am very pro-life, but I don't know how we bridge that gap. How do we get people?
I wish I knew. I wish I knew. I don't know. It's not. I don't think it's something we can do.
But the court can't do anything to.
I mean, we have a very defined role.
Yeah.
We need to do what we're supposed to do. But
Boy, what a great answer. The courts have a defined role. We do what we are supposed to do, and that's it. Again, there's nothing wrong with what this man is saying, but the left is just tearing this up, because he said that perhaps we need to get back to a more religious or godlier nation. But that's a personal opinion. Like he said here, the courts have a defined role. We can only do what we can do. Personal opinion versus what he can do in his professional job. Nothing wrong with that.
this is a bigger problem. This is way above us. So I wish I knew the answer. I do.
But you guys haven't been able to find the leaker?
Pardon?
The leaker, are you guys being able to ferret that out?
It's hard. You can't name somebody unless you know for sure. And we don't have the power to do the things that would be necessary to try to figure out, to nail down exactly what did it. That's the problem. And even then, we might not be able to do it. But we don't have the power to subpoena people to testify to.
That's why this should have been turned over to the FBI to investigate. The FBI, the Secret Service, the U.S. Marshals should have been turned over to somebody to investigate.
Subpoena records, phone records, or other things like that. We don't have that authority. So
It just seems crazy that you can't, because it's so detrimental to the trust the public places in the Supreme Court.
yeah, well, we're not a law enforcement agency. It's people have certain rights to privacy. So law enforcement agencies can issue subpoenas and get search warrants and all that sort of thing, but we can't do that. So, our marshal did as much as she could do. There was limits.
So that was exhausting.
She did what she could do.
Seriously, I just wanted to express my gratitude for everything that you're doing, because it's a really important fight for the rights of the unborn, and I know a lot of people don't appreciate that, but it's important. So thank you.
Oh, wow. That was such a horrible, horrible thing he said there.
My name's Lauren. I met you last year. I think you already met.
That was absolutely horrible. And yeah, one side or the other is going to win. Because I don't see at this point, a reunification between the left and right. I just don't see it. In fact, I think the left in the long run is going to win. That they are going to shred the Constitution. The only way I see anything happening is a succession of the country, a division of the country. Again, I mean, California wants people in California wants to split California up into 5 states. Parts of Idaho is it Idaho or Washington? Parts of what is it? Parts of Washington State wants to join Idaho, or is it the other way around? Because they're tired of the way that their state government is running things, and their voices aren't being heard. So yeah, I mean, there was nothing wrong. I don't see anything wrong in what Alito had to say there. But oh my God, the left is tearing this stuff up already. Now let's go with what they had with the Roberts audio. Now remember, we only have access to what she released. The empire long united, divide. The empire divided must unite. Yeah. You're not wrong about that, Tyre. I just don't think, short of a major worldwide event, I just don't see anything happening. I just don't see it.
I did want to ask you, specifically, with everything that's going on right now, it's just, it's a very tumultuous time in the country, and I'm just curious, from your perspective on the court, how do we start to repair the polarization?
Well, I mean, the first thing I think is to tell me when the non-tumultuous time has been here. I mean, you look at the court, what the court was doing in the 60s, what the court was doing during the New Deal, what the court was doing, after Dred Scott and all this. It's kind of a regular thing. People think it's so different and special. It's been pretty tumultuous for a long time.
So you think this is a normal period?
I don't know if it's normal. I mean, since I've been here almost 20 years, there have been quieter times. But the idea that the court is in the middle of a lot of tumultuous stuff going on, that's nothing new.
And he's right. The court decisions have always, they're rarely uniformly applauded. Major court decisions are rarely uniformly applauded.
I guess I wouldn't say that it's not like it's an innovative thing. It's not new. I guess I really feel like we're at a point in our country where the polarization is so extreme that it might be irreparable.
Oh, I don't think that.
I think
it's extreme is like the Civil War. We did that during Vietnam. People were getting killed, and I was there in Vietnam. This is all right. I mean, it's not all right, but it's not like it's as dramatically different. It's a common thing. People with their own perspective think this is so extraordinary. I don't know.
But you don't think there's a role for the court in guiding us toward a more moral path?
No, I think the role for the court is deciding the cases. If I start, would you want me to be in charge of guiding us toward a more moral path? That's for the people we elect. That's not for lawyers.
This woman is trying so hard to get Alito and Roberts here to say that they're trying to lead us morally. And both of them have said no, whether or not, that's not their job. That's not the job of the courts. The job of the courts is to determine the constitutionality. See, this isn't the part that the media is listening to, because this doesn't make the media happy. This isn't the narrative the media wants to get out there.
I believe that the founders were godly, like we're Christians, and I think that we live in a Christian nation, and that our Supreme Court should be guiding us in that path.
Yeah, I don't know that we live in a Christian nation. I know a lot of Jewish and Muslim friends who would say maybe not. And it's not our job to do that. It's our job to decide the cases as best we can.
Oh, I love Alito or Roberts. I gotta love you for this. I gotta love you because you're absolutely 100% right. And you didn't fall into her trap. And this is an honest opinion. So yeah, this is good. This is great. I love it. But the media sure won't be playing this part up.
I don't want to monopolize your time. I really appreciate you.
Not at all.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, she only spent 2 minutes there because she didn't get what she wanted to get. She didn't get Roberts to say something. They're hoping here, Chief Justice Roberts denies America is a Christian nation. And he's right. We're a secular nation. We've got Christians, we've got Jews, we've got Muslims, we've got Pace Norgan. Oh my God. We have pagan Norse. We've got Wiccans. We've got all kinds of weird religions and offbeat religions and such in this country. But, she didn't get what she wanted to get. All right, here's the last one. Oh, no. So now this goes to a Rolling Stone article. All right, now I don't trust. Well, the Rolling Stone's so left wing, it's not even funny. So she did not get what she wanted to get. But I mean, like here. Now, dear Justice Roberts, Alito admitted on tape the valid massive distrust in the SCOTUS is the media and not your federal society, extreme Christian nationalist ideology with 6 people on the court. That's not what Alito. See, they can't understand pure words. The simplest words. They don't understand them. It's absolutely hilarious. It's absolutely hilarious how twisted the left is. So, okay, I got 2 of the things in that I wanted to get in because I really wanted to get this Supreme Court, those 2 audio tapes in. Now, I would not imagine that she doesn't have more out there. Okay, and what they got to say, who knows? Maybe these are just a prelude. Or maybe she didn't release them because there's nothing there. They're even more non-threatening than what these were. Because if anything else, what these guys said here would be more in a line with old school liberals than conservatives. Hey, our job isn't to be a moral compass for the country. Hey, our job isn't to base decisions upon our religion or our personal morals. Our job is the court's jobs are clearly defined within the Constitution. And she didn't get, so maybe what she's trying to do at this point is since she can't get the Democrats or get the left wing fodder that she was wanting to get, maybe now it's trying to get fodder to make the right wing upset. But any realistic view, listening to what was said there by Alito and Roberts, it's nothing. So, yeah, there's a man that the left is either twisting what was said or they're trying to do what they can do to make it different. It is what it is, okay? I love it. I love what he said. I loved how it turned out. I love what they both said. I got no argument with what either one said, and really neither should anybody else. But the left, the media will try to find a way for to stir up controversy here. Now, this woman, when she made those recordings at this private dinner, she violated the rules of the dinner. So this is probably a one-time shot for her or her husband ever to get invited back. And she failed miserably in getting what she wanted to get done. Okay. Let's see here. What do I want to do next here? What's this? Well, let me do one of these nominees here. So that way I can cover all three things that were on my thumbnail. So, Josh Hawley. Hey, morning, Neil. How's it going? Well, there are still some of the moral majority out there, Neil. Okay. They're just not as loud and cohesive as they were under Pat Roberts and that other guy. I can't remember his name. The other television preacher. But I mean, there's still churches out there doing it. And again, you always hear you a couple years ago there was a big push to take away the C3 status of several white churches because they said that the preachers were doing politics from the pulpit. They were handing out voter guides. And so there was a big push by the left to get in there and take away their C3 status because the churches weren't supposed to be getting involved in politics. Until the big pushback came back and said, yeah, okay, well, if you're going to start taking away C3 status from any church that does anything with politics from the pulpit, here's these black churches doing the exact same thing. In fact, they're inviting politicians to come in and speak from the pulpit. And a lot of videos and recordings and such started popping up from that. And the demands to take away C3 status quietly disappeared. Just sort of dropped off. It sort of reminds me again, several years ago in Australia, there was a push by several female legislators that wanted to make it a crime for men to lie to women about their jobs, their income, their wealth, whatever, in order to get them into bed. And they wanted the punishment to be along the lines of what rape and other SA charges would be, convictions. And then in response, a similar bill was proposed saying that any woman who wore makeup and push-up bras and had extensions put in their hair and other stuff like that, in order to get dates, that they would be similarly charged also. If they made themselves look better than what they actually were. And again, the initial plan, the initial bill brought forth by the women just died a quiet and immediate death. So they, I just love it when one group decides that they want to try to punish the other group until, by coming up with a bill or a law or something, until it's pointed out that their side does the exact same thing, and they really want to go down that road? All right. Where is my Josh Hawley? There it is. Josh Hawley had now this wasn't the Judicial Committee. This was the Senate Homeland Security Committee. And that sort of caught me for a moment, Homeland Security Committee doing judicial nominees. But it is what it is, The more committees these nominees get up before, the better.
Does that still reflect your views? Senator, I do want to correct the record. I didn't write the letter. I,
Oh,
along
okay,
with hundreds of other folks, signed on to the letter because
Now, whenever you sign on to a letter, and this is the way I've always viewed it, that, you know, somebody hands me something they want me to sign, I always read it. Because when you sign to it, you're signing that you are agreeing to everything that's on that letter. Postcard, birthday card, Christmas card, whatever. So I make certain that there's nothing in this letter, you know, be it handed to me in front of Walmart or the shopping mall or handed to me by my wife. I make certain that there's nothing in that letter that I disagree with or could come back and bite me in the ass. So I get tired of hearing these nominees when asked about a letter that they signed, a protest letter, a letter to the editor, or anything else. And the first words out of their mouth was, well, I didn't write it. I just signed my name to it. It doesn't matter whether or not you wrote it. You signed your name to it, therefore you fully endorsed everything in it. Because if you did not endorse it, you wouldn't have signed it. But I would never sign anything that said it was okay for little girls to be given drugs to prevent them from going through puberty. I would never sign anything. I don't care what else was in it. If that's in it, I'm not going to sign it. That's a poison pill. So stop using the excuse that I didn't write the letter. You signed on to that letter. That's all that matters.
I do want to correct the record. I didn't write the letter. I, along
Okay,
with hundreds of other folks, signed on to the letter because we were concerned about the events of January 6th.
Okay, you signed the letter though.
Absolutely.
Does it, and does that still represent your views?
I signed a letter, Senator. I was concerned about January 6th.
Yeah, and you haven't changed your view at all that the ex-president is unfit for office, reckless and wanton threat to the Constitution?
Under the Judicial Code of Ethics, if that matter were to come before me, it would be inappropriate for me to state my position at this time. So I'm
But you signed the letter saying that Pence and Trump were a danger to the country. You signed that letter. Why not give your answer now? You stated it once. And say, yeah, I still think that they're a danger. Show some balls. Be honest.
precluded from stating that position.
Well, I'm just trying to figure out if your views changed. I think you've answered my question. I think your answer is you stand by it. You signed it. You stand by it. Is that fair to say? I'm not trying to get how you rule out a case. I'm just trying to figure out. You signed a letter. I just want to make sure that you haven't changed your views. I think you've answered my question. I think you said you stand by it. Don't let me put words in your mouth. But is that correct? You signed it. You stand by it. Is that fair to say?
It is correct that I signed the letter.
Okay. We'll leave it at that. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Senator.
These guys, they just absolutely freaking amaze me. These judges, or these people, these nominees. You know, they. Exactly. Another activist judge. Now, I looked this up. Okay. And I meant to bring this up the other day. judicial nominees. Okay, and there was Pew Research. This here's what I wanted to look up. And let me share this here, okay? Most of Biden's appointed judges to date are women, racial or ethnic minorities. Joe Biden, 66% of his judicial nominees have been women. I would say that's an overrepresentation, wouldn't you? I mean, women are only make up 52% of the country. So I would say that, granted, underrepresentation here, underrepresentation here. All right, let's see here. Joe Biden, he's appointed 145 judges. 66% of those have not been white. Again, now is this getting to the point with the, hey, Retro, how's it going? How many of these judges, he's going so far, hard on ensuring that he's got minority men and women sitting on the benches, lifetime appointments. What kind of legacy, and considering, okay, let's look at what, like this one here, this gentleman that Holly was talking to. The man signed a letter saying that Trump was a danger to the country while Trump was president. And he absolutely refused to answer the question as to whether or not he still believed that. Now, I don't know about you, but I mean, do you really think that somebody changes their opinion on such a major issue as President of the United States, whether or not they were a good person, bad person, good for the country, bad for the country, or a danger to the company? I mean, there's a difference between being a bad for the country and being a danger to the country. And if you felt that Trump was a danger to the country, and you express that, and you get nominated as a judge, is that an indicator of the type of judges that Biden's been appointing? That the Biden administration's been going out there and digging up to put into the seats of power within the judicial branch? Because remember, Alito there was Alito Roberts, because they both pretty much alluded to the same thing. Our job on the courts is clearly defined. We're not the moral leaders of the country. We simply decide what is and isn't law, what's constitutional, and what's not constitutional. But if you've got a judge sitting there saying that a president is a danger to the country, and 3 years later, do you really think he's changed his mind? I mean, I haven't changed my mind about Obama. I haven't changed my mind about Reagan. I haven't changed my mind about Jimmy Carter. Remember, Carter gave away the Panama Canal Zone. He gave it away. And it's had nothing but problems ever since. Obama gave away the internet. Obama oh, that's okay, Tyre. Yeah, I mean, Clinton and Reagan are the two presidents I remember the best, earliest. I mean, Carter and Reagan. Boo. Carter and Reagan are the ones I remember the best. So, what I mean, there's not a whole heck of a lot you can do about it. You remember what you remember. Richard, now see, Lyndon B. Johnson, definitely before my time. Now, Richard Nixon, only because of the political scandals. And so we spent a lot of time in classroom going over Watergate. Gerald Ford, I remember him, only because of the media misrepresentations of him. You want to talk about media destroying a president? Gerald Ford made one misstep on the stairs going up to Air Force One. And the next thing you know, Saturday Night Live and everybody else, the media, were all making jokes about him being a stumblebum, inept president, when he was actually a football jock. No, I don't remember the Hayes administration. My political, like I said, started with Nixon and the end of the Vietnam War. So that's where my politics began. But I've said that before. I mean, I remember the Kent State shootings and the uproar that caused when some of our teachers wanted us to wear black armbands to school for the because of the Kent State shootings. But I lived in Ohio. I didn't live that far from Kent State. In fact, Kent State was one of the colleges I looked into attending when I graduated high school in 78. So anyway, just date myself over and over and over again. Okay, but for those who joined late because I started so early, let me go ahead and play this video again. It deserves to be played again. This is Nancy Pelosi. Retro, you're going to love this.
We have responsibility, Terry. We did not have any accountability for what was going on there, and we should have. This is ridiculous. You're going to ask me in the middle of the thing when they've already breached the inaugural stuff that should we call the Capitol Police? I mean, the National Guard? Why weren't the National Guard there to begin with?
They thought that they had sufficient
No,
resources.
that is not a question of how they have, but they don't know. They clearly didn't know, and I take responsibility for not having them just prepare for more. We have.
That was Nancy Pelosi on January 6th, claiming responsibility for what happened because her and her office didn't sign off on the National Guard until it was too late. So I'll post that link again so you guys can have it yourself. Yeah, we already knew it. You're right, Retro. We did already know it, but now we have her admitting it. This audio tape, this recording, this video has been out there since January 6th, but it's just now coming to light. Interesting, isn't it? I'm wondering what is going to happen that caused this video to need to come out now. What is being planned to cause this video to come out now? Because, I mean, that's interesting. Why wasn't this released? And this isn't new footage. It's just newly released footage. Somebody had this the whole time. And it never got released. Oh, I agree with you there, Retro. I have little faith in it myself. But that's, again, who or what are we going to believe? So anyway, well, I managed to skirt through everything that I had planned for today. Okay, but like I said, I did start the stream an hour early today. And got rid of some of the stuff that I did have on it for today. Let's see here. Oh, judicial nominees on being. Yeah, I saw that on the Bill being interviewed by Bill Maher. I saw the video, and oh, here's something I wanted to show. DeSantis was out there doing a thing for hurricane prep because hurricane season's around the corner from us. It actually started. And, reporters, they can't, they don't like DeSantis. So, he's there to talk about hurricane preparedness. And, well, we got a dumbass reporter doing this. I got the volume turned up. Yeah. Hopefully this won't, hopefully this won't be as quiet as these other videos have been so far today.
With this new rule when it comes to determining voter intent on a ballot. Can you talk about the changes and why you feel
what are they concerned specifically about?
So they're worried about inconsistencies in the new rule. So could you explain the new rule just so there's clarity?
Well, I had not. This is the first I've heard that people have raised an issue. I mean, I didn't hear in the legislature. I mean, it was a pretty. I mean, Kathleen, do you want to say anything about that? Well, if you want to, I mean, you guys wrote it. Okay. I think it's going to be fine. I really do. I mean, I think that the fact of the matter is elections are decentralized. They're done on a county by county basis. The state oversees, and we have a supervisory role. Of course, we enact policy that the legislature passes and the governor can sign. But ultimately, that's got to be implemented on a local level. And like, for example, we've seen in the past, Broward County, for example, they run elections differently than you'd run them in Lee or in Sarasota or in Okaloosa. We've, I think, corrected that to a large degree, partially because we now have in Florida an agency in the state level, not the local level, that's sole responsibility is to investigate and prosecute election crimes. So you've now seen over the last few years, you've seen illegal aliens prosecuted in Florida for voting. And honestly, like some of these, now, I mean, they need to be held accountable, but some of them were in Broward, and the people in Broward were telling them that they had a right to vote, even if they're a foreigner. No, that is not the law. That's never been the law in Florida. But now we have an ability to hold people accountable. So it's had a huge impact on that, because I think there were pockets of the state where you can kind of do what you wanted and no one would be held accountable. That's changed now. We have a new sheriff in town. And we have run for 2 consecutive cycles, 2020 and 2022, the most efficient and transparent elections anywhere in the country. And just think if we were sitting here 24 years ago saying that, people would have laughed that Florida elections would actually be run efficiency. So I think the 24 is going to be even better than we've done the last 2 years. And I think the changes that have been made have been positive across the board.
Like I said, they're there for hurricane preparedness. And
are you driving way less than you used to? Do you have a clean?
And the media wants to try to make it about elections and illegals voting. Oh, Retro. In the summertime, and it's already starting. Working at a hotel, we get people to come in, and we need to have a picture ID, government issued picture ID. And it is amazing how many people of certain ethnic origins tell us that they've lost their ID and they still need to stay. And our hotel policy is no ID, no stay. You can't stay. And they go, well, we paid through a third party. sorry, it's our policy. If you cannot, show a state issued ID, you can't stay with us. Whether you went through a third party and paid them for your hotel room or not, you can't stay. And every now and again, you get the girlfriend or usually in the ones I remember, it's always been a girlfriend popped up or a young lady popped up. Well, he's here, and they'll actually admit, yeah, he's here illegally. That's why he doesn't have an ID, because he dumped it at the border. Good point, Tyre. So, these counties that don't require IDs to vote, they sort of skip that when possible, Oh, you left your wallet at home? No problem. What's your name? Okay, here you go. Again, we're getting into funny season. So let me go ahead and get my usual rant out there. I said this just the other day or last week. I know I've said it here recently. I would be very happy to see us go back to pre-motor voter days. Back when you had to go to City Hall or to the elections office to register to vote. You couldn't just go into any government office and register. You had to go into City Hall and have the city clerk register you to vote. Or you had to go down to the elections office and register. Because those people are going to make, it's not like any place, most of these other places, that they aren't concerned about making certain you got your stuff right. Well, Retro, for you and I to fly is a lot more secure than a lot of states have got their secure voting. True, the Biden administration has just been putting them on planes and letting them go wherever. But as it is, and up. Let me see here. My security system just went off. All right, guys, I've got to go. We will talk to you guys. Let's see here. Maybe tomorrow. I don't know. Thursdays or Wednesdays is always a toss-up. But Thursday at the latest. All right. Everybody have a good day. Enjoy themselves. Try to stay out of trouble. If you came in late, I already gave you the starter show because that video of Pelosi admitting fault for January 6th. Yeah, that's too great. I love it. So everybody have a good day. Enjoy themselves. Try to stay out of trouble. If you can't stay out of trouble, have as much fun getting out of it as you did getting into it. Bye, y'all. Have a good one.